What's up, everybody? Welcome in. It is the Wrestling Matt. I'm Matt Camp. How you doing? Good to be with you. Great to be with you, in fact. Could not be happier to be with you on this Wednesday. If you're joining me live, you are a Matt member. Thank you for being that at thewrestlingmatchshow.com. Find out more info right there. It's right above Todd at thewrestlingmatchshow.com. Get to that later. What's going on, everybody? Happy to be with you here. Coming off NXT, heading into Deadline, heading into the C2. Bunch of matches announced. Did you check out Inside the Continental Classic post week 1 with yours truly? Up on all of AEW's social media as of yesterday, up on YouTube. A nice little shout out from the boss on that one. Please check it out. Been having a lot of fun doing Inside the C2. And expect more of that to come. But should be a fun show. We'll obviously get into more of Dynamite as the week goes on. My article will be coming out. I'll be doing a couple previews in the rest of the month for Saturday night's main event, for World's End here, and also on Bleacher Report. So make sure you check that out. My DraftKings Network article comes out on Fridays. If you haven't been checking that out, check that out as well. Did some superlatives for the C2 last week as I cover AEW every week for the DraftKings Network. And, of course, right here, weekdays, members get it live. Everybody else gets it at 5 p.m. Eastern. Whether you're watching here at thewrestlingmatchshow.com via YouTube or you're listening where you get your podcasts, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get those. Fire your questions in here if you're watching live as a member. If not, make sure you leave your comments below, as I'm always checking those out. Wanting to hear from you guys. Coming up, I think it'll be up later on today for members. We'll have my NXT December prospect rankings. You probably won't see some big established names on there because I don't think I'll have Ethan Page on the list, only because I don't really look at him as an NXT prospect. I look at him as someone who adds credibility and legitimacy to NXT and reliability and a bigger resume. I'm talking about the people that they are trying to build from the ground up, basically, for the most part. So the NXT prospect rankings will be coming out within the day for members. It's a members-only video, so make sure you check that out if you want to become a member of thewrestlingmatchshow.com. All right, so let's talk a little bit about NXT Iron Survivor finalized surprises, I guess, with both spots. Eddie Thorpe for the men and Ren Sinclair for the women. The matches were fine. Women, once again, I mean, just seeing who was in that match just to be in the second chance qualifier, Ren Sinclair and Jada and Cora and Kalani Jordan. I mean, that was a loaded match, and the men's wasn't as loaded. Ren Sinclair getting the win. Here's my issue with that. Not that I think she's going to make this big run, but she doesn't win her qualifier. No surprise. And then literally gets punched out cold into a pinfall. So you had her lose, and then she couldn't even win. It felt like we need a random way for someone to win. We need to set up Jada and Lola. It doesn't make sense for Cora being there necessarily, although she could get involved. Kalani's been dealing with stuff outside of this. So, hey, I wouldn't have guessed Ren Sinclair. I've been a big fan of her. I think what she's been doing is great. She has picked up things for North Quarter Catch Crew, also won the Tag Battle Royal. So they're getting a little bit of a spotlight on them. And then the men's side, Eddie Thorpe winning, and this whole thing of, well, they let me be in the match because I didn't actually hit Ava last week, and something's amiss there. And then you see the title of this show, does the Bloodline story run into NXT? Because Trick gets taken out by Ridge, after somebody said awesome a bunch of times. That was weird. And then Trick goes to the hospital, so Ava goes with him. So they check in with her later, Stone and Stevie. And, oh, yeah, everything's going fine, and blah, 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 blah. And then they look, and you see him, like, straighten up his jacket. And I saw the speculation of what that was, like, supposed to be. And you know, did someone related to Ava, perhaps, in the bloodline? Or, you know, is it Hikuleo? Is it Lance on Hawaii that have shown up and almost like her muscle? And then I go, okay, if that's the case, even though, I guess Heyman's talked to her once on camera, she hasn't exactly been connected to this whole thing, even though we know her dad is The Rock. But then, well, you know, they didn't make a mistake, okay? It's not a mistake that Lance on Hawaii was seen, okay? I think they want some of that bloodline residual rub juice to come down to next. Wait a minute, there's more? They have more people in that family. I don't know what that leads to. I don't know if that really matters for anything. Eddie Thorpe getting beat up, who knows? But could the bloodline story, could it run into NXT? You know, we've seen the arms stretch out now into Monday Night Raw with the stuff going on with Seth and Punk and Sammy and Drew McIntyre coming back. And, you know, as I said, I guess it was yesterday's show, the arms of this thing have now really spread out, where people aren't fighting the bloodline necessarily. They're fighting about the bloodline. They're not fighting them. They're fighting about them. Sammy to Seth, hey, you started this 10 years ago when you were in the chair. Why are you tagging with them? Why are you going back with them? Blah, 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 blah. And the actions of Roman, the actions of the bloodline are now having rippling effects that they're causing issues between people that have nothing to, you know, that aren't even in the bloodline, or they're not battling the bloodline. So that's the fact that story can create so much more is why I would say that it is a good thing that it's still ongoing, because now the effects of the story and the effects of what has been done has led to future stories. And that's you always want to be able to do that. This story ends. Okay, do we have to start fresh? Is there a reset button? Sometimes there is, and there's no avoiding it. Oh, wait, this could actually lead into this, this, and this. You want that effect, not that necessarily a domino effect, but you want to be able to mesh stories together. Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins have meshed together. Bronson Reed ends up, you know, now, is Bronson Reed going to come back as a martyr because he did a tsunami that, you know, was supposed to crush Roman Reigns, but Punk saved him? Like, think of that. This all started with Bronson Reed trying to make a name for himself, crushes Seth 6 times. Seth comes back, gets some revenge on him, beats him. They look to recruit him because he's been on such a tear. They do. Seth won't join the team. Bronson is still part of the team, looking for the spotlight. He goes to destroy Roman Reigns. He can't. Punk and Roman have a bond, or whatever the hell you want to call it, off of that. Bronson's now hurt because he tried to do something big to the most important guy in the company, who has been for the last 3.5 years. And he wouldn't have been in this thing if not for attacking Seth Rollins months ago. And look, plans change and all that, but there is something you wouldn't have expected. If I told you at WrestleMania, yeah, they're doing that bloodline thing at Survivor Series. Okay. Bronson Reed's going to play an important role. What? How? You would have been laughed at if you said that. And now you go, oh, man. he had maybe the most important moment of the whole match, other than Roman doing this to Punk. So, do you tie Ava to her dad, to the bloodline, to maybe she has protection, maybe you don't knock her over by mistake or whatever? And also, I thought that was kind of ridiculous because she was a wrestler and we saw her wrestle and she was in Schism and all of a sudden she gets knocked over and Shawn Michaels is pushing people. Maybe because he thinks that's a good way to protect his job. I don't know. Defend Ava because of who her dad is. Although, didn't Shawn turn it on like that last week? Like, whoa. That's not the guy who's doing cringy TikToks. I know that's Shawn Michaels. And I'm not saying he has to be that Shawn Michaels all the time, but it was cool to see him flip the switch very quickly. Raspy voice Shawn. I like that. The build for Deadline, I think the women's match, as we know, is loaded. Sol, Zeta, Stephanie Vecker, Julia, and now Ren Sinclair. Pretty wide open. I lean Stephanie Vecker just because Julia's already had her shot. But the weird thing about that match is, by my count, you have at least 4 baby faces. Ren Sinclair's in the no quarter catch crew. I guess they're heels, but like they're kind of like they got a pop for winning the tag tournament, the tag battle royal. But if she's the only heel, it's not like she's one that everybody's going to need to go gang up on. But you have 3 experienced workers in there, 4, because I would include Ren, who's got more experience than Sol Ruka, and Sol Ruka, who, I get it. And maybe Sol wins. I could be wrong. Maybe Sol wins this. But very babyface heavy this match. But still, plenty of believability. I think the star power solid in the match. I can see Sol winning it. I can actually see that going on. Maybe it's not Stephanie Vecker's time or Zeta's time. I don't think they want to go there. If I had to guess, based on what happened in the 10-woman tag, since they never really addressed it, I do wonder if Jordan Grace ends up costing Zeta. I think that could be in play based on what happened in Philadelphia at the end of that main event 10-woman tag. That could be in play, setting up something bigger. Sure. I believe that with the Saturday night's main event that was just announced in San Antonio before the Rumble, that runs the same area as TNA. So you got to wonder if there's some crossover there in some way, shape, or form. I don't know. And whatever NXT is going to set up for the future. For the men, you got Ethan Page, you got Wesley, you got Frazier, you got Javon Evans, and you got Eddie Thorpe. It's not as much star power. I don't think Ridge will beat Trick, especially since they had Trick get hurt. And is he going to make the match? And, that'll be just, they're making it very obvious that they want Trick to have obstacles to overcome, which is fine. But obviously, I think, and NXT doesn't shy away from heel, but I think they will. You're going to know about the Iron Survivor based on who wins the men's title match. And that could be a timing thing as well. Now, Roxanne's not defending her championship. Trick Williams is. Tag titles on the line. The Jada Lola segment, I'm going to cover a little bit more when we get into another video on the NXT prospect rankings. But they have Lola cost Jada again. So both of her qualifying matches, Lola's gotten involved. And it's because of what happened in their hardcore match. So Jada comes back out. She curses. Something else might have slipped through that shouldn't have. That she said, and take the ropes down. We're doing it right now, which I thought was a little hokey. Like, take the ropes down. We're doing underground right now. And it's like, or you can just fight her. You don't have to have a sanctioned underground match. And Ava comes out and sets it up. And look, Technically, that's Lola's like playground, but I think they've done great. But you watch Jada Parker from her entrance into the Last Chance qualifier. You watch her come back out in what is more of a looser segment. You know, not hit your music, come out, pose, wait for the microphone, find the heart. Yeah, she found the heart game, but it was much of more of a looser segment of, I'm pissed, I want to fight you, let's go. Stop messing around, take these ropes. Like, she meant business, and the confidence that oozes off of her is unmatched in the women's division, in NXT at least. It's amongst the best in all of NXT. I think Jada Parker's one of the best talkers of all of the women right now. I think she's one of the most confident talkers, period. And she's picked up the game in the ring. Super high on her. I wonder if her and Lola is a blow-off of some sort, because I could see either one of those two coming up. It's not about having to win the championship on your way out the door. I think Jada, and I will tell you this right now, is the top women's prospect in NXT. And if they see that in her, and if SmackDown and Raw are both going back to 3 hours in the next month or so, you're going to need more talent. That's just the bottom line. You got more hours to fill. You need more people, potentially. I would absolutely tab her as somebody who would be worthy of bringing up in the next 6 months. And I had a conversation on yesterday's show, a recent show, about how Braun Breaker, since he's come up, he's gotten better. Why? Because he's worked with great people. Kaiser, Sheamus, Sami Zayn. Who else? Chad Gable, I guess, is in there somewhere. But, I mean, he's just worked with people who get it and have the experience. He's been in there with Jey Uso. He's been there with Kofi. And he's gotten better. Jada Parker, I thought, found her footing in the Meechin feud. And look now, as she's gotten better. I would throw those two back together as a tag team, perhaps. Hey, we were rivals in NXT, but we both earned each other's respect. There is a similar mentality between Jada Parker and Meechin that could really work. But Jada will get in there against people, once again, who are more experienced and better than her when she comes to Raw and SmackDown. And you wouldn't have to rush with her. She could be somebody's heavy for a little time, and then you move her into a more prominent role. But she's got it. And I thought that was on display last night on NXT. She doesn't look like she's telegraphing anything. And I say that also because I was watching. I remember getting tipped off when I was working there about Kalani Jordan. And I think it was like her first level up match. And I heard, hey, there's something here. All right. Because that buzz didn't always exist. You'd have the random trainees that still pop up on that show that nobody ever knows or hears of, and they don't go anywhere. But there was enough buzz about her that when I watched, I said, okay, I could see it. But it was obvious she was still moving. The wheels were turning, which is fine. You know, hey, here's what I learned. I'm putting it into action. You know, there's a flow to wrestling that is natural when you see regulars do it. But when it's not natural, or you see people kind of working their way through their development and, all right, I'm supposed to do this, you could see that. I remember seeing that in Kalani Jordan. I remember seeing that in a lot of these people that have been trained there where, sure, they've practiced their match, they know their spots, but there is not a organic movement. It's set up here because now I'm supposed to do this. Now I'm supposed to be here. Now I'm supposed to take this punch. I'm supposed to flip here because this move means that. And that's people sometimes you can see that don't know wrestling, didn't grow up around it, didn't watch it. And they're literally learning how to do the job because they look at it as a job, not something that they loved. And that's fine. But I was watching Kalani Jordan last night. And There's a spot late in the match where Cora is giving her the business. She's yelling at her. And Kalani Jordan reaches back and wallops her with this forearm. And the crowd popped for it. And commentary, like Booker came up for it because it looked good. And it's such a simple thing. But you watch anyone who throws good punches, and a veteran wrestler will point it out. Damn, they throw great punches. And I saw her throw that form, and I went, that is a difference in where she was a couple of years. She threw that thing with confidence. It looked good. It looked snug. There was no doubt that it connected or made it look like it connected. And I went, there's the difference. She threw that forearm with confidence. She didn't pull it. She didn't get nervous. You know, people were complaining about Nia Jax's chair shots the other day. Understandably so when you see this. Or if the camera catches Pete Dunne throwing punches at the ground, not necessarily on Pete Dunne. Pretty terrible work directing if you are keeping on that shot where obviously you should have taken the other side. They had that camera shot looking up kind of at Cora and Kalani, and boom! And you hear it, and you felt it, and it looked like $1 million, and it looked like she knew what she was doing and could throw that 1,000,000 times with that kind of impact and that kind of force and that kind of snap. And there is a difference. Just little things like that, you can see the development. And I saw that, and I went, those are big steps forward. There's someone that's getting it. I have a feeling Kalani Jordan will be on my NXT prospect list. I'll go back to the trick stuff with Ridge. Eric Bischoff was booked to stir things up. And if you didn't know that, it was said on commentary. And he put himself over for being innovative and, you know, living off of 1998 still and all of the great successes he's had since then. Oh, wait, never mind. Like, you know, playing guitar on Impact and all that. Great successes. Herbie Bischoff production team. Just great successes. So he comes out and he's Hall of Famer Eric Bischoff, and he was at the cutting edge of wrestling ideas, and he created the NWO and all that. And he just keeps saying and that was awesome. And then I showed up to this building for the first time tonight, and I saw the future, and that was awesome. And it was this like, that's not Eric Bischoff, the performer. Eric Bischoff, the performer, is pretty damn good at his job. I have to, and always has been. A great heel authority figure. You always wanted to see him get comeuppance. And did he stir it up a little last night? Yeah, I guess. But for the most part, he was like, man, this is great. This is awesome. I'm happy they paid for me to come here. Like, that's what it came across as to me. Not asshole heel Eric Bischoff, which is what he should have been. It was like, whoa, Ridge, you did this, and Trick, you did this, and you know, then Ridge was like, washed up podcaster. I'm like, are we baby facing Eric Bischoff? Because that doesn't really seem to make a lot of sense. But then again, he came across as this very generic, like, I'm a Hall of Famer, but I'm gonna say all the things that are gonna be nice for WWE and whatever. I don't think it. I got the point of what he was supposed to do. I just thought the stuff at the beginning kind of like killed his edge. This is just awesome. And it was like this fake caring about the future of wrestling and blah, 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 blah. Good angle after Rich taking out Trick, put a lot of heat on him. Well done. I like the deadline match. I don't really care about the men's one. I don't think there's a lot of juice to it. The women's one is loaded. It could go in a lot of different ways, and I love the immediacy of that match. I think initially when I had it explained to me, I was like, "What are we doing here?" But the idea of being in there at the beginning means that you can score the most points, but also get involved in the most losses. And you don't want to necessarily be in there last. And, last year we saw Trick have that big, come back, and he won and led him to the title and all that stuff. There's a fun in that match that when booked correctly, against the clock, and it's only 25 minutes long with 5 people in the intervals, it's really not that long of a match because there's so much stuff going on. But it is a fun concept. And I think it's actually pretty cool that in the last year, a couple of years, NXT has come up with that, and we've seen AEW have, the Casino Battle Royal. And, they're different concepts that are now kind of sticking as their own match. It's not easy to come up with matches that are fresh and new in 2024 and have them stick. But I think that has happened for both AEW and NXT with these very specific matches. Deadline is a fun pay-per-view because of the gimmick of the match. The Iron Survivor is good. I just think there's more in the women than the men. It's a very pay-per-view to me. But obviously there's a lot coming up because you got Saturday night's main event. Sounds like there's going to be 2 Saturday night's main events. I think now one is announced the week before Rumble. So 2 of those specials plus Raw, January 6th, and obviously Netflix and all that. So, I mean, a hell of a month. And then, that first day of January, AEW streaming for the first time on Max. So, man, so much great stuff going on. And, yeah, I obviously am a little more excited about that one because of the work I've done there lately. But hell of a time. Hell of a time right now. I have said a lot in the last month or so how this period right now could be very dead and holiday and getting ready for the Rumble or World. And it's not. The C2 is going to be loaded up for the rest of the month. Rampage included, if you didn't find out. You might hear more about that from yours truly coming up this week. But that's loaded up. You got Deadline this week. Then you got Saturday night's main event. Then you got, like I said, the C2 keeps rolling on. You go into World's End to end the year. You go right out of World's End, and you're coming into, Dynamite debuting on Max. Then a few days later, Raw's on Netflix. Then there's Saturday night's main event the second. I mean, there is no downtime. We are rolling right now. There is no quiet December in pro wrestling. And if that is the case, great time to be a fan. Stay tuned for the members out there. If you're not a member, go to thewrestlingmatchshow.com. Find out how you can become a member. You get this show first and live before everybody else does, weekdays. Everybody else gets it at 5 p.m. Eastern, whether you're watching here on YouTube at thewrestlingmatchshow.com or where you get your podcasts on the Believe Network. Rate, review, and subscribe there. But members will be getting my NXT prospect rankings within the day. So make sure you have your notifications on so you do not miss that. And if you want to get those videos and other members-only videos and see them first and foremost before everybody else, become a member at thewrestlingmatchshow.com. Go to prowrestlingtees.com/thewrestlingmat. Get your Wrestling Mat merch. And watch Inside the Continental Classic, available on all of AEW's social media pages. Written and hosted and produced by yours truly. And I'm shooting another one this week, baby. All right. It's a quick one today. Stay tuned tomorrow. We got more wrestling to talk about. So I'll be back here to talk about wrestling even more on the Wrestling Mat.